Okay, welcome back everybody. So our next step, or the next stage in the game is to know how to use the input function. And why is this important? At the entry level, at this point, we're going to need input from whoever's using our program. Okay, we may want to change some values. We want to do some math operations, and so just having the computer run a bunch of numbers for us is okay, but it doesn't really allow any interaction between the program and the person. And so that's exactly what we want to do. So that means we need to use what's called the input function. And let me come up here and show it to you. At basic, the input function is right here, okay? And the input function is doing this. So when we run the program, and I'm not going to run it just yet, when we run the program, that input function is saying a couple things to the computer. It's saying, one, stop what you're doing and wait for the user to do something. And so that's exact. So it won't do anything until the user does something. It's actually waiting for something to happen. Input, user input. Now this is Python 3, not Python 2, so we're not doing raw input. We're just using the input function. So again, we talked early on, the first thing that we saw was the print function, which is down here. So it's print with parentheses. And now the input function is doing almost the same thing. So I could actually do, well, I'm going to do it down here. So let me take this out and show you the program line by line. So on line 3, my first line of code, and we see that there are lines over here, line numbers. They're not something I put into the program. They're going to be there. And so if we were to run and throw an error, if we were to hit something we're not to work right, and we're not even going to talk about errors and exceptions to way down the road, as we ease on down the road, I say. Um, these are very basic. Again, this is entry level, beginner level concepts. So what the input function is also allowing us to do is print to the screen, print to the console, just like the print statement did. The difference here is that the print statement is not waiting for user input. It doesn't even know anything about that. It's simply sharing information with the person looking at the screen, okay? However, the input function is doing that, plus it's waiting. It's waiting for user input. So I won't use both of them within the same line. So I won't do print and input. I just need to use the input function. And that's what I do here. Now, I have for me, I like to, I don't necessarily ask the user questions. A lot of code might say, please tell me your name, or what is your name, question mark. And I just don't like the way that looks when it prints out, because it'll have the question mark and then the cursor's waiting right there, or it may be down to the next line where the input statement is. And I just don't like that. So I like when the computer just says, do something, and just wait for me to do something. Because what happens is, wherever you have this input statement at, that is where the input element will take place. So my program says enter name. So when this prints to the console, the cursor is going to be sitting right here, actually, because I gave it a space. And that is where it will take whatever I type in. So if I type in Joe, John, Francis, whatever I type in, that, and then hit enter, that's going to be passed or assigned to the variable name. So we did this, I believe, in the first tutorial, is that we took a look at variables, and variables are containers or boxes or holders of things. And so in this particular example, the variable name is going to hold whatever name I pass to it, okay? And that's called an assignment. So I'm going to write over here, this does not affect anything. It's called an assignment. So we're going to assign the variable a value, okay? And that value will be anything that I put over here. Now, we saw the print statement before, and the print statement is simply going to print out whatever is in the parentheses. Now, I'm actually going to do two things with my print statement, okay? My print statement will print the string hello, and then I am concatenating, I'm going to join with that hello in parentheses the value of the variable up here, name, will be printed right next to it, okay? So whatever the person enters will be assigned to this variable, and then that variable will, the value of the variable will print out right here after my hello statement. So we're just saying hello, whomever, okay? So we're gonna do it twice. So I have color, and the same thing, once the variable has a value, and as long as that value hasn't changed or the name of the variable hasn't changed, I can continue to use that variable over and over and over again in my code. And so I do. I use it up here, and then I also use it down here. So it will then say, whatever name it is, use my plus sign, concatenate, comma, enter your favorite color. And again, it's an input statement, so it's going to wait right here for me to add any string element that I want to add. I could put 1, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't really care. It's going to see it as a string, so it's not going to have any numerical value, regardless if I put characters, letters, uppercase, lowercase, or numbers. And I'm going to show you this because when I hover over name, the default input data type is string. Same thing here. The default data type input is a string. And so it's going to receive, even if I don't type anything legible that's readable, it's going to receive that, it's going to store it in that variable, and then if I ask for that variable as I do right here, it's just going to repeat that out for me. However, I don't want this to look silly. I simply want it to look straightforward. I'm going to type in John, and I'm going to type in the color blue because John likes the color blue. Okay? Run the program, enter name, John, and so it says, hello, John, and that's exactly what it should do. And then, John, enter your favorite color. And as you can see, the same variable is being called for here. This is an input statement. It is waiting. John does like the color blue, and I've told him that. So please practice this, practice this, practice this. This is the next step in really understanding code, is that the use of variables is very important. It's going to be essential. The use of variables is essential to everything that we do in our programs. And being able to change the value of the variable is also important. Now, there will be some instances where we don't want the value of our variables being changed, and we'll come when we get to that, we'll talk about public versus private variables, but we're a long way from that. Right now, we've learned about variables, data types, math operations, and now the input function. So practice up, and I will see you next time.